didn't understand, there's 2 million Arab Israelis living in Israel. And then the Palestinians, or we would say Gazans, live in Gaza, and then the Judea and Samaria, which they call the West Bank, are the others. But yeah.
I have a solution. You want to hear my solution?
Yeah.
What's your solution?
Okay. We need to change their business model, right? We need to change their business model from donations and corruption to an economy. When people have money, they have something to lose. It tends to reduce criminal activity. And, you just need to change the incentives and move the people over to some sort of an economy. That's the solution. That was Shimon Peres's.
Yeah, but Aaron, you have to also have a court of a rightful justice system, and that's what they don't have. So even with money, if you don't have a criminal justice system, they still will do evil. Like just because someone has $2 million and they can have $2 million doesn't mean they're not going to be criminals still if they can get away with it. They want $3 million and $4 million. So it's also important to have a just system, a court of law that is just. Do you agree?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I would say like this: you have like the 80-20 rule. So I would say if it's more worthwhile for a young person to go into high tech than it is to go into Hamas or to go into work for the government. For me, working for the government is worse than being in a terrorist organization, no matter what country you live in. Small government, private sector, create value, get into the economy. People who are making money, they don't have time. If they're working for startups, you don't have time to do terrorist stuff and political nonsense. That's my direction.
Aaron, can I float a weird idea in front of you?
Wait, Percival, just 1 second before you go. Aaron, I hear you totally, and I agree with normal people. But the fact is, one of my very close friends, who was like a brother to me, was murdered by a 17-year-old was murdered by my friend, who was like a brother to me, was murdered by a 17-year-old Palestinian, and he gets $40,000 a year. And dollars. We're not talking shkalim. We're talking dollars. And working at a startup in Israel, if they do get a job, it probably won't even come close. So I hear what you're saying in reality, but when being confronted with the possibility that you can maim or kill a Jew with those other incentives, unfortunately, it's not looking so good. But
I'm sorry about your friend.
Yeah.
Who was it? Can I ask you?
I'll message you in the back channel. Yeah,
okay.
It's okay. But yeah, I'm just saying. I know it sounds moral. It sounds possible. It sounds real. Because we can think that way. But when people,
before he died, he saved the life of somebody else, and he was a hero. Really, he was multiple times stabbed, multiple times. And he's still in the last. He didn't think about his life. He only tried to prevent that others die, and he saved then other Jews, and took a terrorist out. Yes. He was a hero.
Oh my God.
Who are you talking about, Michael?
Ari Fool.
Yeah, blessing and an honor to
Ari. Yeah, Ari. I knew Ari, and I know Miriam. I knew them both before they even got married.
Oh my gosh, where'd you go to? Did you go to, what's it called? What's it called in New York? I'm reminded of my school, the school that his father was teaching at, Rabbi Fold.
I met them in Israel, like not in the U.S. There used to be something, an NCSY Israel Center in Jerusalem. And Miriam worked there, was part of her Shirut Lumi. And Ari used to come in. And I remember Miriam was like, he keeps asking me out. You think I should go out with him? I'm like, yeah, give him a shot. He seems like a nice guy. And he'd be in the army coming back, and he always wanted to just see her and hang out with her. I remember when
I'm sorry.
My business partner called me up, and he gave me the bad news. And I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe it, He was a really good guy, special guy.
Oh my God, he was like honestly an angel in my life.
Like his spirit, to reunite you two. That's amazing.
He was an angel in my life, an absolute angel. Like
You're cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
Now we hear you.
Okay, he was. Oh, I always used to say, like, how do you have so much time today? Like he would always be doing something for someone, like always trying to help people. And he was just like, it was like his fuel for him. And he said to me, he said he could never sleep because after what he'd been through in serving in the army in Lebanon, and then losing one of his best friends, he had to carry on his shoulders. His friend died, and he had to carry him on his shoulder. Wow. He was just, I could tell you stories and stories, but it's so nice to know that you knew him and them before they even married.
Ah, good. But you pronounce it better.
Hebrew and Arabic is very similar, so pronunciation works. Oh, here, I see Aaron has joined us. So here's your opportunity to meet Aaron.
Who? I thought you met him at SAR. SAR is a high school, like his father taught at in New York. So I thought that would be the way you have known him.
I think that's amazing that that connection was made. Amos.
Ask Amos if he knew Ari Fold.
Yeah.
Amos, do you know Ari Fold?
Ask Amos what?
Do you know who Ari Fold was?
Ari Fool?
Yeah.
Who is Ari Fool? No, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Fool?
Do you know who's buried in the Cave of the Patriarchs and Matriarchs?
I don't understand much about drugs.
It's such a nudnik. You're a
תגידי
quintessential
מי זה הארי פול הזה? אני לא מבין אותך.
איזה נודניק כזה?
פה מהקלאבהאוס, איזה הארי אחד.
אוי ואבוי.
From the clubhouse?
No. It's okay, Amos.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay. What did you want to fight about today, Amos?
I don't see anyone in the room to fight with. Very boring.
Do you want to bring Zuko in or Palestinian revolt? Who's your favorite?
I don't know the people here. I heard Aaron is a big intelligent. He has a solution
Money.
for that.
Yeah, he has money. Anyone who has money, you're after them. Boom, boom, boom.
The money is to build minharot, to build channels to go under the ground to Israel, to bomb Israel from under the ground. That's what they put the money on.
Hi, everyone. Hey, has this been going on all night?
Yes, but I passed out and I just came back. So
I fell asleep too during a certain time. I'm not sure if you know.
No, I didn't know. I don't know what all was going on.
You guys are all stronger than I am. That's my only comment.
even through college, I never took all-nighters. But we actually had a very, very like incredible room. Actually, maybe Avra can tell. It was like
no. Had a woman come in. It was unbelievable. We had a woman come in. Her parents were Holocaust survivors. She was in her 70s. They had already passed. And Nicole had already left the room. And, her father's also a Holocaust survivor. And the woman was speaking. She did get into, an area that was very touchy in regards to vaccination and COVID, but we got past that. We allowed her to speak. We listened. Nobody argued. It was very nice. We did have some people pass through that had some things to say, but we just kept it going. And then came out of that to me bringing Nicole back in, and then this woman and Nicole being able to speak about being, survivors, children of survivors. It was like a very beautiful moment. they related and had the same experiences, as in like having dreams having to do with their parents being, you know, in the camps. I mean, it was really wild. They were crying. They had a whole, it was like a full circle, you know, moment. It was beautiful. And now they have that connection, and they're going to, you know, they said that they wanted to speak on the sides, in private, to discuss and go over many more things that, you know, they've dealt with as being survivors, or children of survivors. So that was like the one. It was a blessing to even have been a part of that, to hear, to witness, to see that happen. And then I passed. God put me to sleep right after that. So
that's an amazing story, and to have that happen on the first day of this new room, really, really amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool.
You're right. You're right, Rick. It was a blessing. It was a blessing to have it on the first time Ava opened a room. It's a blessing. It's a good sign. It was a miracle. It was a shidduch. We made a connection. Very nice, a match with two people that had so much in common. And Bashal, an Indian guy who we adore, he came in and actually, believe it or not, sang the most beautiful song to everyone. You missed that?
I missed. Yes, I
was crying.
I passed out right like with Nicole and Cream going through that. I went, like they said, God put me to sleep. I missed that. I'm so upset I missed that. I'll have to.
I was crying. It would have been good at least to have gotten that on like replays or something. It was beautiful. He literally sang with such light and love, and it was just beautiful.
Maybe you can have him back again, and he can do it again.
Yes, absolutely. That would be amazing. I'm not opposed to replays. I actually think replays are a good thing.
I wouldn't want them,
but I know that's why I don't do them, because I understand so many people don't want replays.
But I'm saying, literally, it was like perfection. It was like two people who are children of Holocaust survivors talking each other's, like, you know, what they have in common and what they've lived through because of the commonality. And then at the end, when we were all like kind of talked out, you know, and then Bashal came and he sang, what's the song? It's called You Are, let me see, sorry for a second. It's like, we love you, you are loved. We're with you, we all are with you. We will make you the world, you will make the world shine like the sun. It was such a beautiful song. He was singing it, and it was just like tying a bow on a present. It was just beautiful. It was perfect timing.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear that.
That is so wonderful. I really truly believe that these sorts of things are meant to be truly and really.
Yeah. I agree. And for the, you know, just to clarify, this is not my first room. I've had 3 other rooms, but it's been a very long time since I had them. But I'm not even saying this to be obnoxious or self-absorbed, but every room I've had has pretty much gone in this direction. It's always been a really good experience. I've always had a great time, and I felt that it was always positive. And so I thank all of you for, like, you know, continuing that, because this really was the first room that I feel like the community was really, like, we were all together, you know, at least those in the community that I, you know, that roam with me. So I just thank you all for that. The other rooms previous, they weren't, you know, I was very new. It was what it was, but this was like, I felt like as a community, like such a successful experience, you know, of unity. So it was really awesome.
You know, today is my mother's yurt side, and so we have a candle burning, of course, and it occurred to me, it was funny how you kind of just randomly think of things, but how much in Judaism is about light and candles burning and bringing light into the world. And I think that's a very common theme of what we do as Jews. And so, you know, it's all the better that we do it on Clubhouse.
Yes, that I agree. Like I want to take control of what I'm doing on Clubhouse instead of just jumping into spaces. I want to be a part of creating spaces with others that is doing exactly that, Rick. Like, yes, we can have controversial conversations. Yes, we can have disagreements. No, we're not all going to get along and be best friends, every single person, but we can shine the light to each other and any others that wish to come in, you know, and even in controversial discussion, the light, it can still shine. So I agree.
Absolutely, and most importantly, shining the light among us Jews, so much needed.
Yes, definitely. Did Amos leave? I love it. That's hilarious. But yes, I completely agree. And see, if you don't want to shine the light, then get out of my sight. Like, I wanted to see what he wanted to talk about, but we'll wait to see if he comes back in. Is there anything, Rick? Are you guys doing anything else beyond just, you know, lighting the candle and honoring? Is there anything else that is accustomed to do? This I would love to talk about.
No, we, you know, other than you know, at the weekly service we go to, you know, is to say Kaddish, of course, and always in you know, your loved one's name that has passed. So that's
you can
important.
give tzedakah for your mother's your site. You can give tzedakah. You can learn Torah in your mother's memory. There's so many things we can do to honor. It's to uplift the souls and the memories of our loved ones. So anything that's a good mitzvah or something in honor of the loved ones, like learning Torah in their memory,
Absolutely.
giving tzedakah, giving, you know, and many things.
Absolutely. You know, if you don't mind, I'll tell you just a real quick personal story.
Tell us your mother's name so we can think of her in memory right now.
Her Hebrew name was Yehudit.
Yehudit?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
It actually means, like, because we're Yehudim, Yehudit is like a Jewish woman.
Yes, yes.
Yehuda, from Yehudit, Yehudim.
Yes.
Yehudit Bat what? I'm sorry, Yehudit Bat.
Her father's name, Hebrew name, was Ariel Lev.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you. Well, thank you very much. But you know, I was the funniest thing to me. I don't mean.
Okay, well, that's kind of all soppy sappy. This is Sydney Winston, by the way. Thank you all for joining. I just wanted to interject here a little bit to tell you what essentially this kind of this genre of stream of Clubhouse streaming. I like to try and cover those issues that are sort of close to home to me. Sort of this room is, but I like it more when it gets secular. Right now, they're being a little bit sort of sappy religious and melodramatic. If you ask me, I'm not into that. I'm more into the history, the politics, the differences of opinion, and sometimes on this room, I mean on this platform, Clubhouse, you can actually find rooms where directly opposing views are discussed in a respectful way so that everybody can understand what's going on, because one person talks at one time. That to me is my ideal type of environment for a conversation. Sometimes we strike it lucky, sometimes we don't. Conversations like these that we're listening to right now oftentimes oscillate between absolute chaos where everybody talks at the same time to one where there's a lengthy period of normalcy, where one person talks, another one responds, another one asks a question, another one answers the question, but, one at a time. So I'm going to try and see, let's see if we can, if they have gotten to a point in this room where it actually is one at a time.
12 now. In fact, I've got to run them in a few minutes to their to the bar mitzvah class, but because that's coming up later this year. But anyway, even when they were little, like in 3 or 4 years old, and they saw us light the yahrzeit glass, the candle, and it's those little things like that, and they knew that this was for their Bobby, and they knew that their Bobby was watching them, and and loved them, even though they couldn't see her. So it's those little things in Judaism that are so important, so important.
See, and Percival, you'd never be able to find that ever in your Bible. So there's so many things that people don't know about what we do and who we are, that they have, it's hard for them to understand the Jewish people.
Yes,
so much.
Absolutely. I mean, there nowhere in the Tanakh will you find about lighting yahrzeit candles.
All right. Okay, that's enough of that. That's a little bit too sort of religious for me. I did find another room here which might be a lot more interesting. Just let me get down there. Will the Palestinian government accept a two-state solution? The club is Telegraphic News. So what I am going to do is make that change. Telegraphic. I don't know really why it would be under that name, but it is. So Telegraphic News. And let's listen in.
Very, very important to note is that we don't have one Palestinian state now in contention. We have an independent one in Gaza. We have an unindependent one in Judea and Samaria, the PA. We have a Palestinian-controlled Lebanon, effectively, where the Hezbollah controls the Lebanese army, and we have Jordan, the Palestinian majority state, which is ruled by the Hashemites. And this is also going to be very important to see what these states do. Jordan is trying to warm its relations up with Israel. So this is very interesting. We've gone through a very deep freeze within the relationship. And Jordan, ruled by the Hashemite royal family, which are a separate ethnic Bedouin group that rule Jordan, are trying to warm up the relationship with Israel slowly. We have Egypt, which is now engaging in naval warfare with Gaza almost on a weekly basis. There are reports coming out of Palestinian news on a weekly basis now, where the conflict is obviously growing between Gaza and Egypt. And I don't know how long the Egyptians will carry on with their brokered peace with Gaza as well. That's something we should remain critical of. And then at the same time, the very interesting quandary of what happens to Lebanon. Lebanon is a very, very confusing situation because you have effectively a Palestinian minority ruling over a Lebanese majority. Hezbollah has effectively taken over the army. It does sit within the government, effectively has control of the Lebanese government effectively through its control of the military. And this will be a really interesting point because the Lebanese government at this stage has been trying to renegotiate the conflict with Israel. Lebanon has been attempting to try and settle for peace and renegotiate that maritime border. Now, one of the interesting things that we're seeing with Lebanon is that it seems to be a very extreme push-pull situation. We don't really know what's happening within the internal politics of Lebanon, where we see the Palestinian, Hezbollah controlling military. It's very hard to ascertain what's happening internally within Lebanon. So again, we're sort of seeing, the Middle East being really pulled on these very painful lines across the Levant. We have Jordan, which is Palestinian majority, but not ruled by the Palestinians, going one way, and the government's trying to warm up the relationship. We see Lebanon, which is technically ruled by the Palestinian militia, Hezbollah, that controls the Lebanese army, and the government are doing different things, with the government trying to negotiate for peace and the militias occasionally attacking, the judiciary and the government. And now we've got Gaza, which is engaging in naval battles with Egypt. And these are very, very tense fault lines. And Mahmoud Abbas, who may not be around for, unfortunately, for much longer, and his administration must be looking around very carefully, trying to weigh up, well, what do we do next? We've basically said no to the Abraham Accords. They've said no to President Biden's visit, so there's not really that political issue you may have said with, former President Trump, that the PA may have had. And now we're starting to see this tension and this sort of shifting again of the fault lines. And it's something I think the West really has not Western journalists have not been doing enough critical research into, and actually really looking at what's happening, because the situation in the PA seems to be deteriorating from the reports that, have been coming out. With these periodic purges, more cities have gone to PIJ and Hamas within the Palestinian Authority, and intercommunal violence in the PA is still growing. The internal violence is still growing at a rapid speed. I've just seen more people have come on stage. Does anyone else want to come in? Marina, Chaim, Rabbi Chaim, do you want to come in?
Hi.
My
I'm sorry.
internet actually isn't that great.
I'll wait.
Go
ahead.
I'm in Jerusalem right now, and the one thing that I would like to add, aside from Lebanon, just kind of a segue, is I've been with young activists for the past few days, and no one believes in a two-state solution anymore, but they're really, really hot on a federation, which I find troubling from a sovereignty and free and independent state perspective. I think there's a premise that people have to be, acting in good faith, and also that there's some intense collaboration for that to be more possible. So it's I don't know, I find it a little bit troubling that that's the dialogue that I'm seeing, but maybe it evolves. Anyway, well, thank you for having me tonight.
Hi, everyone. I also wanted to add one other comment, and that's about Islamic Jihad. So in addition to the intense rivalry and Hamas's desire to now become the sole representative of the PA, Hamas is fighting Islamic Jihad for leadership, which also has been gaining in popularity. So we're not only talking about a multi-state or confederation, quote, solution, but there are non-governmental actors that can really muck things up pretty badly as well. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
That there are clans which control parts of Gaza is well known, but when we think about the actual living Palestinian territories, doesn't really get good represented with Gaza or what they have in Judea and Samaria, because the people normally stick to their clan, and the clans aren't represented in the government, and there is also no plans to represent them in the government I think that Israel can maybe work with different clans who at one point would decide they we want this area, and in this area we provide security, but we don't want to have anything to do with terrorism against the Israeli state. You know, like a federational system, like in Switzerland, that different independent communities can work together, but not an actual, not state. This could bring stabilization, because otherwise, I don't think that the clan structures will stop existing, because you know that's how the whole Middle East is made. Not the whole Middle East, but families, you know, create big family structures who actually have influence on the local politics. That's pretty common in the MENA region and will stay. And yeah, maybe they should think about to stabilize their area with a better representation of them. Not that they aren't engaged in criminal activities. Yeah, that's happens, but it's only realpolitik. They won't sign anything. They don't get anything.
The problem is with the federation. So this is my personal issue. Okay, this is me. First of all, I get very uncomfortable with this because you have to think: do you include Gaza? And that would mean that Jews become an overall minority within the state of Israel.
No, they should have their own federation, not we with them. No.
I'm just saying, because I do actually hear this idea that Gaza should go into a federation with Israel. Well, that would put Israel at a Jews within a minority within Israel. The other thing is, if you really, and I'm not saying this as a point to Michael, I'm just saying a but if you really go and visit Palestinians in Judea and Samaria, if you go and visit them within the PA, they're not actually that keen on the idea. I can imagine within Jerusalem that might be a really prospective idea, but I'd find that quite hard to believe when I visited like Hebron, Kiryat Arba, and other areas around this south of Judea and Samaria. Generally, I would say I've visited mostly south, everything like around Jerusalem and south of Jerusalem, with around the PA. So I don't know how popular, how popular that would be with Palestinians. I don't know. What was your feeling, Marina?
Oh. Sorry. I personally don't see it as something that's possible. Here, people have been saying that the collaboration that they see already somewhat resembles the federation that they want, and they think that that's the only way forward, to leave things a lot more stable and undivided. But I think they're talking to more moderate individuals, and I just don't see. I'm sorry. I don't see anyone giving up sovereign aspirations, and especially those who seek territorial expansion. I just don't see that moving forward. We've seen in the past 2 years such an exacerbation of tensions, that having this idea that this coexistence in good faith is really possible right now. I can't even imagine it.
Actually, I can understand per se, Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, where it's a bit more politically different, in my experience, but particularly in the northern PA, around Jenin, I don't know if the PA has control there anymore, and I think if anything, that would likely cause more violence, in my opinion. And the other thing that Michael was alluding to, and I do agree, is I don't know how, you would need a federation within a federation almost. You would need the PA to be a federation and then be part of a wider federation for the Palestinians to accept that, because they don't typically get on very well with each other at the moment. The divides are very heavy between Hamas, Fatah, PIJ, Daesh, ISIS. So I don't know on that front as well. That's a very hard thing to figure out. Oh, and I forgot to mention one third of all Palestinians in the PA are Kurds as well, which they tend to have a very different view on how things are to pan out, which makes it very complicated as well. They are very openly Kurdish, so it is a very interesting question, I think, for the PA. What form of government will they take afterwards? Does anyone else want to come in or add anything? Does anyone want to come on stage?
I have something. Wait, I need a second.
You're very quiet, Michael.
The French Justice Minister stated that yes, the French Justice Minister stated in the Parliament, "Whoever harms a Jew harms the entire Republic." It was a response to a Jewish Parliament member who submitted a query regarding the way France is dealing with anti-Semitism, and he made a really good point. He said that they pay the Palestinian authority, millions, and that they're still the responsible for a terror attack 39 years ago in a restaurant in Paris, and there are a lot of French people died, also French Jews, and the head of this terror squad lives now in Ramallah, and they said, why don't we force the Palestinian Authority to to that they can brought to France and put into in front of a court. And yes, there's no real that the fight against anti-Semitism would only exist on paper, and now there was the promise that hate crimes against Jewish people in France would get charged like every other hate crime, because we know when you kill a Jew in France and you smoked weed before, you can say it was the weed. But strangely, when you smoke weed and kill another people, then you go to jail. And on this double standard in the French society was the discussion, and they want now to work better against anti-Semitism. I really don't believe it. For me, it's only a statement, and they won't stop the payments to the Palestinian authority. They said it, but Germany said the same before they came into power, the actual government, and nothing changed.
Rabbi Haim, do you want to come in with your news about Ilhan Omar?
Yes. So Don Samuels, who is the Democratic challenger to her, has actually done the impossible. He's gotten the endorsement of like the main and only paper in Minneapolis. There's one in St. Paul, but the Minneapolis Star-Tribune has endorsed him. And in fact, if you, and I'll put a link in the back channel when I'm finished, but if you look at the endorsement, it looks like it was like a PR press release from his campaign about everything good that he has done and why he is the right man for the times. I couldn't believe it. It looked like somebody paid the editorial board to write such a glowing review. What's most remarkable is that we have Omar, who is at a DFL, that's the name of our Democratic Party, endorsed candidate and an incumbent who has not been endorsed by the newspaper. I can't remember the last time that has happened, especially in my district. And my district is known as the bluest of the blue. People stay in the seat forever. So that's a positive turn. However, no illusions. Omar is already starting to, go negative. She's pretty desperate right now, and she knows how to manipulate social media. But I think Don can clinch it. I will put in a link for those who can contribute or reach out to their friends and contribute a little. But just even if money is not really so much of an issue, it's like spread the word that there's a better alternative who will represent not just Minnesota, but represent all of us in the House of Representatives, who is a friend to Israel, a friend to the Jewish community locally, and also cares about things that people in my district tend to vote on. So thank you, and it's very exciting, and I will stop there.
Yeah, and there are more votes coming also in New York, and everyone should know you can go to the primary for a Democratic candidate, even when you don't want, when you have later the goal to vote for Republican. It's more when there are two options, you can choose which is when your party don't win, then try to choose what would be the better option. That's always nobody. We don't need more politicians of the left, of the far left or the far right in the local administration to spread hate against others. That's really important, and therefore you should consider that you vote strategically against also against far left progressives when you are in the primaries when you are a Republican. There's always normally you can choose between a far left progressive and a more moderate traditional Democrat, and there are a lot of people who need more support also in New York District 10, and also Jewish candidates, and we can you can make a difference. That's the community. You speak with your community, your locally community, with the people in your synagogue, and bring them to awareness, which people actually have a voting record on the internet community.
You're very mumbled there, Michael, at the end.
I said only look at the voting records from the politicians in the primaries, and then please speak with your community about it. There's always a better choice than somebody who spreads hate.
Okay, so what we'll do, Rabbi Chaim, is there anything you want to add?
Not at the moment. Thank you.
Just remember that you can always text me if you need anything. What I will do is we'll probably start to wrap up this room if no one has anything else they want to add. Anyone else want to come up on stage? No? Okay, so just to quickly add, we hold this room once a day, every day at 9 o'clock in the evening Jewish time to go over the news. And also our thoughts are with prayers are with Israel as reinforcements are being sent to the Gaza border. What we'll do, What we'll do is we'll wrap up this room. I want to thank everyone for coming, for being here, and I will see if there are any more updates about what's happening within Gaza, and when it is possible to do so, I will post. But it's quite complicated at the moment for security reasons. Michael, do you want to come in?
No, not important. Can we do tomorrow? Okay, go for it.
I want to also thank Fiona again for keeping us up to date, and I follow him on Telegram. You know, he'll never ask for any sort of financial contribution to enable him to continue his work because he's too modest, and that's not why he does it. But you can always feel free to do so if you're inclined, but most certainly follow him on Telegram. Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you for that glowing endorsement. What we'll do is we'll wrap up this room. I want to thank everyone for coming, for being here, and also as well, just remember, very simply, we can beat Ilan Omar, and we can beat her at our own game. We've beaten anti-Semites for 2,000 years. We will beat this one as well. What we'll do is we'll wrap up this room. Thank you for everyone for coming, being here, and hopefully we'll see everyone again tomorrow.
Have a nice day.
Bye, everybody.